Good morning, guys. How are you today? Let me get my camera going here. Let's see. Okay, perfect. I am live now. So, hello to each of you. Thank you so much for joining me today. I tell you, it's been so long since I went live on YouTube. It took me a hot minute to remember how to do it. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Let's see who all is here today. So far in the chats, let's see. Anita, Sarah, Patsy, Yvette, Kathy, Juanita, Paula, Dora, um, everybody, hello, just welcome. And it looks like it's cold where everybody's at. Everybody's saying it's cold and sunny or cold and rainy. And so, yes, even here, like we went from 80-degree temperatures here in North Carolina to it was like the low was 24 last night and the high today I think is 48. So, welcome. Hey, everybody jumping in. Oh, Patricia says she's in Arizona and it's her first time watching. Hello, Patricia. So glad you are here with us today. Hey, Laura, glad to see you on. You're normally one of the first ones who comments on videos when they're uploading. So, good morning. I see that. Hello to my friends in England. Oh, hey, sweet Dar. I see you on there. I love it. So, thank you. Oh, France is joining in today. Oh, how fun. Okay, friends. Well, we are going to have a blast today. We're going to talk about variations of CRAW, which, if you have no idea what CRAW is, it means cubic right angle weave. Okay, so lots of variations, although people don't think a lot about doing some of these different variations because a couple of weeks ago, if you will remember, I did a video called the bubble necklace, and it's just crawl with different. I love it. Sue Hood said, feeling crawly. Yes, we are today. Oh, no worries, Sarah. Sarah said, oh no, the dreaded crawl. Girl, you got this. I promise. We're going to talk about it today. So, anyways, when you look online, like if you do a Google search right now on Google and you look up crawl or cubic riding a weave necklaces, you're going to see some absolutely gorgeous necklaces, but they all basically have the same beads that you're using and the same, it's the same way, basically meaning our 4 bead box with size 11s or size 8s. Helena Tinling is one who does amazing crawl variations. And there's some other ones who do some really, really great ones. So that's what I'm going to hopefully try to get your mind open and getting creative and playing with some of the different beads that you can do crawl with. And so if this is one that you guys tend to avoid crawl, which I'm seeing that rolling, some people are saying in the comments, please stay with me today because I'm hoping that you may see a tip or a trick or learn something new that will make the stitch easier for you. Okay, that is the whole point of this. Let's have fun and enjoying. Someone texts and says, I'm on the crawl, but I don't know how to talk. Oh, you guys, check out my new cup. My husband got this for me from the Starbucks. I love it. It's very gold and shiny. Anyways, so let's talk about thread first. So when you do crawl, the first thing you want to think about is the thread choice that you are going to use, all right? So if you want something to be very structured, meaning you want it to keep its shape really well, you don't want it super fluid and moving and things like that. Hang on one second. Mom, can you get the door? I think the mail guy's here. Okay. Sorry, my mom's here. Oh, Becca. Hey, Becca, I'm sorry. Yes, Becca, it's on the chat. So you can get in and on the chat on that. But anyways, so if you want something to be super structural and keep its shape, then what you'll want to do is you will want to use something like a fire line, or like, I love my dragon thread, okay? Any type of thing that's going to be a little bit more dense, have a little bit more grip and help you hold on to your piece. That is going to do especially really good for those of you who are beginning and are just learning how to do crawl or cubic right angle weave. Okay, so this really going to help you if you'll use something like your fire line or your dragon thread. Now, if you're like me and you're a super, super tight stitcher, or you want to do a necklace that's going to be very fluid, meaning it's going to lay really well. So I have like this necklace here, okay? This is very flowy and very fluid, meaning I can just bunch this up like this and it's not gonna, it's not biggie. And that is what this is done using, like your 1G, your KO thread, your NYMO thread, things like that. Okay, so that is if you want something fluid. So you'll want to really pay attention to your thread choices. A lot of times as a beginner beater, if you're trying crawl for the first time and you're just not getting it, you may want to definitely get something like your fire line, a 6-pound fire line, or the dragon thread, the 0.006 or the 0.008. Also, you may want to practice with larger beads, like a 3mm round, a 4mm round, a 4mm bicone, something like that, because it's going to be a lot easier for you to learn the stitch, okay? So we're going to jump in and we are going to get started. Sharon says, it's the cursing stitch. It can be. It can be. Love the necklace piece. Did you make that? Yes, Christy, I actually did. This was a piece that I taught at my bead retreats this summer. This is called the Regal Rena pendant. I'm actually going to be adding a Zoom class on this in January. So if you'll check out my website, offthebeadedpathbeadstore.com, about the end of November, I'm going to be listing this class as a Zoom class that you can take through me and my website. So yes, that is that. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to just cut myself off a 2-yard length of thread to start playing. All right, you can use smaller amounts of thread if that is what you're comfortable with, okay? Always use just what is most comfortable for you. So let me get my needle threaded on here. And what I have in front of me and what I said to have was just an assortment of seed beads, all right? So I'm going to start out with just some basic crawl, just a couple of boxes of basic crawl. Then we're going to start playing with some different shapes and sizes. Okay, I've got some 15s, I've got some 11s, I've got some 8s, I've got 4mm rounds, I've got some 4mm bicones. I'm probably going to grab some size 6 seed beads. So it's just a really random assortment of beads. So what I'm going to do, I've already got my little note card here. As we go through and do these different variations, I'm going to write the variations that we do down. And after the live, it will probably be tomorrow or Wednesday, I'm going to sit down and make up a sheet of all the variations that we did and try to diagram them just a little bit, so that way you don't have to come back to video and keep stop, start, stop, start. You'll actually have something in front of you, and I'll put that on our website under the step-by-step tutorials in the free category for you, so that way you will know. Now, I see a couple of you have said that you have never done crawl before and you've never heard of it. So what I highly, highly, highly suggest, if you watch this video and you just go like mind blown, like you have no clue, Sammy is actually on the live with me and he's posting links. So hopefully I can get him to post a link to a couple of crawl videos that I have on here on YouTube already. One is the basic crawl. One is the bubble necklace that I did just a couple of weeks ago. On there, there's double crawls, so don't do double crawl yet unless you are doing the regular crawl. So if you get motion sickness, please look away for just a moment because I'm going to turn the camera around and get it into position. So just look away for one moment while I get that taken care of here. And then we can get started. Okay. Everybody bear with me 1 second. Bonnie, I'm so glad to see you on here today. Hope you're doing good. Okay, so first things first, if you have never done CRAW before, this is a tool that I actually invented back in 2018. This is, let me see if I can get it to come here. There we go. This is a CRAW tool that I invented in 2018. I had to teach about 50 people how to do CRAW in a class. And so I came up with this little tool to help. Now, many of you are not going to have this tool, and that's completely okay. I'm going to show you what to do if you do not have a CRAW tool at home. I'm going to show you how to start your CRAW, okay? So if you do not have this tool, okay, you can take your seed beads or whatever you're using, and you are going to start out with 4 beads. So just to show you here, I'm going to pick up and use 4, I believe these are 4mm pearls. You will use this for your seed bead. Okay, Patricia Williams says, Kelly, when you say seed bead, you mean round, not delica, correct? You can use delicas, actually. The only thing about using the delicas you have to be careful about is they look more boxy, and sometimes it doesn't look as great in CRAW. So that's the one thing you have to be careful about. So if you do not have this little tool, here's how you're going to start out. You are going to pick up 4 beads like this, and then you can go back through them or tie them into a circle, just like this. Okay. And then once you have your 4 beads in place, then you will simply take your needle and come through one of the beads next to the knot. Now, what you have to figure out what's going to be comfortable for you. If you're left-handed, you're going to be maybe more comfortable working this direction. If you're right-handed, you may be more comfortable working in this direction. So it's just going to kind of depend on if you're left-handed or right-handed. But if you do not have the little tool, this is what you want to start with, is these 4 beads here. All right. Now I'm going to trim this. Well, no, I'm just going to leave this. I'm going to make it like my stop bead. So like I said, I'm going to be using my tool. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my needle. If I've got a stop bead or anything on there, I'm going to take the needle and I'm going to go through the hole that's in the tool. Okay, so your stop bead is going to stop that from coming through. And then I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to go through the bead right above where that hole is. Now again, I can go this way or this way depending upon which direction I am most comfortable with. And for me personally, it is coming in this direction. And so my stop bead's just going to hang out over here, and this just gives me something to hang on to get the stitch started rather than having to hold on to just my little beads here. All right, so this is the advantage of the CRAW tool. Now, I'm going to let me grab some size 6 seed beads here. The great thing about the tool is that you can use just about any size bead to start and do CRAW with. So I'm gonna grab some green ones. You'll see those really good. Okay, so I'm just using some size 6 seed beads to kind of get you started here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up 3 beads to start with. So 1, 2, and 3. And I'm going to come back through the same bead that my thread is coming out of because I want to make a circle. All right. So now I have a box of 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now I'm going to come through the next bead of orange here on the little base. So see, I made my little box here, and I'm coming back through or coming through the very next bead on this base. So every box will consist of 4 beads. Right now I have 1 bead and 2 beads. So that lets me know I need to pick up 2 more beads. And when I pick that up, I want to make a circle. So I'm going to come back through this side green bead here, and then the orange bead kind of right below it, and pull this through. Okay, so now I have another box of 4. So if I flatten this out, you can see I have 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, now I'm going to pull this out just so you can see, because now I'm going to continue on through the next orange bead on the base. So I'm coming out of this one, and I'm going to come right next to this one. I am going to pick up 2 beads. Oh, thank you, Nicole. She says, I have this tool and love it. Very helpful, especially if you're learning CRAW. Thank you, Nicole. So I have 2 beads here in my new box. So that means I need to pick up 2 more. So I come through the side bead and the little base bead here. So I come through 1 and 2 because I'm wanting to make a circle. So I'm always coming back through it. And I pull it through. So now if I look at it straight on like this, I can see that I have 1, 2, 3 beads in this new final box that I'm going to make. And how I know this, if I look at it from above, I have 1, 2, 3 beads here. And so you see I have this orange bead left. That tells me I still have 1 side left to do. So I go through the orange bead, and if I lay it down flat so you can see, I go through the orange bead and straight through the green bead. Linda, this is called the CRAW tool. It's on my website, offthebeadedpathbeadstore.com. Okay, so now I pick up 1 bead, and remember, we want to make a circle. So I'm going to come back, and I'm going to come through this bead, the orange bead, and the bead I'm coming out of. So if I go straight this way, and Linda, Sammy actually, I believe, just put a link to that as well in the chat. So you can see I came through this one, and this one. Phyllis, thank you so much. She says she loves the CRAW tool as well. So if you look now at the top, I have 4 beads. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And that's exactly what we want. So I'm just going to come up and come through these 4 beads again, just to pull them together. Now, if you are proficient at CRAW, you do not need to do this. But if you are just learning, then I highly suggest you do this, because what happens is now that pulls that into a really pretty nice little square of 4 like you want, and it's easier to see to make your next CRAW box. All right, so that is our first CRAW box here. What is the part this is the part I can't get past. Would multiple colors be easier? Yes, absolutely. If you can't get past this point, multiple colors are going to be super helpful to you. So I tell you what I'm going to do as you're learning. I will actually switch colors for you, so that way, hopefully, you'll be able to see it. Okay, I'm going to switch to a turquoise here. So I'm coming out of the green here. And remember, every little box we make consists of 4 beads. So each one of these 4 beads has to have a total of 4 beads. So now I take, let's see, Wendy says, another site I watched CRAW instructions on was quite emphatic that we should not go through those top 4 beads again. Well, Wendy, it's kind of one of those things that everybody does crawl differently. And so you basically, you do what's best for you. There's honestly no right way and wrong way to do crawl as far as how you do it. But if you are a beginner and you have never done it, this is very helpful to you. So if it's helpful to you, then there's nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with doing it this way. The only thing that it's going to take up more thread because you're going through these 4 beads. But if you're learning, this right here to me is golden. And so you do what you want to do. So I'm coming out of this bead here, so I want to make a circle. So I'm going to come back through the bead and pull it. And you can see there, now I have 4 beads. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 beads. So now I come through the next bead of the 4 beads here on the bottom. I have 1 and 2 beads, because if I hold this up, I have 1 and 2 beads here. So that means I have to pick up 2 beads, because remember, every box consists of 4 beads. So I take my needle and I come back through this bead and this bead. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And I pull it through. Sharon Walker says, I find it most helpful to go through all 4. It tightens up and it's easier to see where to go next. Exactly. So if it works for you, do it. Definitely. Okay. So I'm going to come through the next bead here of my 4. And again, I have 1, 2, 1, 2. So I need 2 more beads. So 1, 2. So I come around to make a circle and go back through these 2 beads again. And thank you guys. This is wonderful conversation that you guys are having today, talking about the crawl and the do's and the don'ts. So I love it. I love this conversation. All right, so you can see here on the top, I have 1, 2, 3 beads, and I have 1 green bead left. So when I come through this green bead here, if I add another bead right now and come back through, it's going to be diagonal across. So this is why we come up through the bead right here. And then we already have 1, 2, 3 beads here. So I pick up 1 and I'm going to come around because I'm making a circle here. So I'm going to come around and I'll go through this bead, and this bead. Joy Jefferson says, I love, love, love crawl and go through the beads always. Just makes it easier to see. Yes, absolutely. And Joy loves to use size 15 seed beads when doing crawl. Bless her heart. Okay, so my thread is coming out here, so I'm going to come just through this very next bead here. All right. So if you look here, so far I have 1 crawl box and I have another crawl box. And again, I'm going to go through these 4 beads on top. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I go through them again because now look how nicely those 4 beads look. All right. They look really good. They're all pulled together. Kathy says we need to make sure we have 4 walls. Yes, 4 walls are key. So when you look to the top, just like I'm holding it here, you should always see 1, 2, 3, 4. And you can look here, 1, 2, 3, 4. When you go up the bead, is that stepping up? Yes, it is similar to stepping up. Exactly. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to start playing with some variations here. All right, I think I'll do, yeah, we're going to start playing with a few variations because it might be even easier for you to see as we start using the variations. So, I am going to grab a size 11 seed bead. Okay, So again, this is a size 11 seed bead. And then I am going to grab a size 8 seed bead. So this variation that I'm fixing to show you right here is the exact same thing we just did here, just with 2 different beads sizes. So this is an 11 and an 8. This is just like the bubble necklace that I did a couple of weeks ago. All right, so this is going to be a variation. So the first variation is going to be just like the bubble necklace. The key, again, 4 walls, all right? So I'm going to pick up an 11, an 8, and an 11, okay? So I've got an 11, an 8, and 11. So for now, I'm going to stick to this 4 bead concept, all right? So I've got 1, 2, 3, and the bead I'm coming out of is bead 4. So I'm going to come back through the bead that my thread is exiting to make that circle. Okay? Now, these look tiny compared to these 6s. So now, just like I did here in the bottom, I'm going to come through the very next bead, which is going to be the blue bead there. So now I'm going to pick up an 11 and an 8. All right. Gail says, I think sometimes it might be beneficial not to go through the top 4, like when you don't want so much thread to show. Excuse me. Yes, and Gail, that's completely right. I mean, me personally, I do not go through those top 4 again just because I'm very proficient at crawl, but it's very, very, very helpful if you've not done crawl before. Very helpful, okay? So when I come through this bead here on my 4 bead bottom, I'm going to pick up an 11 and an 8. And just like we did here, I'm going to come through the 11 or this side bead and this bottom bead and pull. And now I come through the next bead on my floor is what I'm going to call it. So my little bottom or my floor. So again, I'm going to pick up, we have 2 beads. We have 1, 2, and I need to pick up 2 beads. So I'm going to pick up an 11 and an 8. And I'm going to come back through the little side bead and my floor bead here and pull it through. So now, as you see, I have 1, 2, 3 beads here along the top. So that tells me I still have just 1 bead left to add. So I come through the last bottom bead that I have, which is this one here. And remember, if I pick up a bead right now and try to come back through those 2, the bead is going to sit diagonal here, and I'm going to have 2 beads side by side. So this is where I have to come up through the little side bead here. And then I'm going to pick up an 8, which is my red, and come through the 3 beads of my little circle right here, because I've got 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to come through those beads. Mary says, I love crawl. I use the mantra 3, 2, 2, 1 to know how many beads are needed. Exactly, exactly. So another thing that you can do when you are learning crawl, if you've never done it before, just like Mary said, where she said, I use the 3, 2, 2, 1 mantra, before you actually start, you can actually take your beads and lay them out as 3, 2, 3, 2, 2, 1. So you can actually lay your beads out just like this to help you to know, okay, first stitch is 3, then 2, then 2, and then I've only got 1 bead. So this is very helpful if you're learning to lay your beads out, because every row that you do is going to be just like this, unless you're going to be doing some variations, which we're doing now, okay? So when I get to the top, I am now coming out of my 8s. Again, if I want to, I can go through those beads again just to pull them together as I'm learning, okay? Not required. So you can see we're doing the exact same thing, but it looks different. It looks very different. So now I'm actually going to change my size 8 seed bead. Oh gosh. Oh, Meredith Roddy would have a field day from Bead-A-Lon with my tray right now, because over here next to me I have a mess. Okay, so I'm going to change up my size 8 seed bead just so you can see what I'm doing here as I change. So again, I'm coming out of a size 8 seed bead. We're still doing a 4 bead row. So I have 11, 8, 11, and I'm going to come back through the same bead my thread is coming out of to make that circle. And now I come through the next bead of my bottom 4. I have 2 beads. I have 1, 2 here. So 1 and 2. So that tells me I need to pick up 2 more. So I pick up an 11 and an 8. And I come back through the side bead and the bottom bead, or wall bead, floor bead, however you have been taught. Okay. All right, so I come through the next bottom bead. Again, I have 1, 2 beads here in the little circle, so I'm going to pick up 2 more beads. So I'm going to pick up an 11 and an 8, and I'm going to come back around to make that circle. So I am going through the 11 and the 8. So if I look here on the top, I have 1, 2, 3 green beads left. So that tells me I still need 1 more right here. So now I come through the last bottom bead and then up through my little side bead. Katarina, hello. Oh my gosh. I was just thinking about you the other day. Okay, so last bead for my row, it's the top bead here. So I pick up the 8, and I'm going to come through the 11, the 8, and the 11. That makes my little circle here that I've kind of harped on this whole time. Okay, so when you look, I have 4 beads now on top, and that's exactly what we should have. Every single time, no matter what crawl you're doing, you should have, if you're doing cubic right angle weave, you should have 4 beads on the top here. So again, just for video purposes, and so everything's nice and tight, I'm going to go through the 4 again. So you can see there how putting an 11 and an 8. So these are 6s. So now these are 11s and 8s. All right. So that's going to give us, just like my necklace, the bubble necklace, it's an 11 and an 8. All right. Now we're going to switch this up a little bit. Now let's try to put on 3 11s and an 8 and see how this works. All right. So if I'm going to do this, I know that one side, my first one, is going to be 3 11s, an 8, and 3 11s. The next side I do, remember, I'm going to be sharing a side, so I'll have 3 11s and an 8. The third side, 3 11s and an 8. And then my fourth side over here is only going to have 1 8. So for this variation that I am doing, thank you, Joy. She said, I love your nail color. It's called something about copper penne. It's one of those OPIs. It's PENNE, like the pasta. But so for this variation, I can go ahead and lay out my 3 11s, my 8, 3 11s. So this is my first side. My second side is 3 11s and an 8, 3 11s and an 8, and then the fourth one is an 8. So it may help you to do this right here so that you'll kind of understand this stitch. So I'm going to pick up 3 11s, an 8, and 3 11s. So now people like my friend Joy who want to make this smaller, Joy, you could do 3 15s, an 11, and 3 15s, and that's going to completely change the look of it. So I'm going to work it exactly the same. So you can see the beads that I have on here. And I'm going to come back through the same bead again to make a circle. Dora, this stitch is called CRAW, or cubic right angle weave. And I'm just showing variations of the stitch. So you can see here what we've got. We have 3 11s, an 8, and 3 11s. This is the first little box that I'm making here. All right, now I'm going to come through the next bead of that little base. So I'm going to pull this through. Yes, Wendy says for the CRAW variations, I can see where laying it out would be very helpful. Yes, absolutely. Okay, so now I'm coming out here, and remember, they're going to share this side right here. This side right here is what they're sharing. So I have these beads here. They're going to share this, so I have to pick up 3 11s and an 8. And I come back through 3 11s and the little base bead here. So that when I pull this, boom, they're identical. They share a little side here. You see the side they share. So now I come through the next bead on the bottom. This is where I'm going to pick up 3 11s and an 8. I'm going to share this side, so I come through the 3 11s and the 8. Pull this through. Now, I can look here on top. I see my 3 8s here. So this tells me I still have to go through a bottom bead, my last bottom bead. And now this time, instead of just coming up through the one bead like we would normally have down here, I'm going to go through all 3 of these little beads. These are my side beads. This is what they are going to hug or hold. Let's see. Immortal says, so you're using a 3 as 1 stitch. Exactly. Exactly. So my last box, you know, that I had laid out here was an 8. So because I'm coming out here, I've got to come over to here, and I'm going to come through the 3 beads, my bottom bead, and the 3 beads here. So I'm constantly thinking about making those circles. So 3, 1, and then up through the 3 here. Kelly, are you still doing the monthly redos? Yes, I am. Let's see. Sandy says, I use different colors, but used one color for floor beads, a different color for wall beads, and a third color for ceiling beads. Yes, you can absolutely do that too. So now you can see I have my 4 beads on the top. And when I hold this to the side, we're still doing CRAW, but look how different it looks. You see here what we've got? We've got a much elongated piece. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to switch up and use a different color of 8. So again, for this stitch, and I'm going to switch up my 11s here as well. So again, if I lay these out on my mat to start, I have 3 11s, an 8, and 3 11s. Okay, so this is the first. The second is going to be 3 11s and an 8. The third is going to do 3 11s and an 8. And then my fourth over here is just going to be an 8. All right. So again, if you're laying them out on your mat to start, this is what I've got. Okay. This is what this stitch is going to be right here. So here we go. First stitch, 3 11s, an 8, and 3 11s. So my thread is coming out of this red bead. So I'm wanting to consistently make circles. I'm going to come back through the bead to make the circle. And you can see what I've got here. Now, come through the next bead here on the base. Okay, so somebody said, let me see. So rather than saying, you can say 3 11-0s are a unit bead. That might help to keep from getting confused. Yes, you could definitely say a unit. That you could definitely do that. So now, again, I am doing here, I've got these 3 11s. So that tells me I have to pick up 3 11s and an 8. And come back around. Remember, they're always sharing sides. So I come back through the 3 beads and then through the base here. Pull through. So when you look at it now, you see how they're sharing sides. Come through the next bead on the bottom. 3 11s and an 8. We're sharing sides consistently, so I come back through 3 11s and the base. Pull through. So when I look on top, I have 3 green beads. That tells me I just need 1 green bead right here because I can see 1 set of 3, 1 set, 1 set, and 1 set. So all I need here is a green bead to finish out the little set. So I'm going to come through the bottom bead, up through 3 11s, and then I'm going to pick up an 8. And remember, I want to make circles. So I'm going to come through 3 11s on this side, through the bottom, and then 3 11s. Okay, so when I pull this, now you can see, again, we've done CRAW, but it looks completely different than the CRAW we started here and here, because now we have these great elongated boxes. So let's see, who wants to give a suggestion? Any suggestions of another count or something like that? I think I'm actually going to grab a couple of bicones here, crystal bicones. And I'm going to use some of these 8s. So I'm going to try picking up 2 8s. What is this? This is a 4 millimeter bicone. 2 8s. Yes, Sharon says, I like the elongated. It looks like a chain. Yes, absolutely. So then the next little one is going to be 2 8s and a bicone. 2 8s and a bicone. And then the last one is 1 bicone. What type of thread do you recommend for a tight square? When you are learning, I recommend Fireline or a size 8 dragon thread. Can you make more than jewelry with this stitch? I don't see why not. I believe some of the couple of the beaded boxes that I've seen have had some CRAW. Laura, thank you so much. You're awesome. Thank you. So you can see here, now I am coming through the top here. Okay, new variation. New variation. Let me write down our variation so I don't forget it. Could you do 3 11s as the floor and ceiling and 8s as the walls? Ooh, yes, we will try that. Remind me of that here in just a minute. So we've got 2 8/0s and a 4 millimeter. All right, so here we go. When using bicones, do you need to use Fireline? Yes, I would suggest you use Fireline when you're using bicones. So here we go. I'm doing 2 8s, a 4 millimeter, and 2 8s. And I'm going to come back through the same bead that I'm coming out of to make a circle. Okay, so this is what I have so far here. I'm going to come through the next bead in the bottom, pick up 2 8s and a 4 millimeter. Now, when I come around this time, remember each side here has 2 8s. So I come through the 2 8s on the side that I'm going to share and then the bottom here. So when I pull it through, you can see they're sharing a side. So I'm just going to pull this and come through the next bottom bead, which is this bead here. Okay, so I'm going to pick up 2 8s and a 4 millimeter. Again, they're going to share a side. So I come through 2 beads and the bottom bead here. Okay, so now if I look on the top, you can see I have 3 beads. This tells me I still need 1 more bead right here, because if I pull this tight and I look straight down on it, the green beads that I see 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I see 4 green sets, so I know I only have to add 1 bead. So I'm going to come through the bottom bead and the 2 side beads here. Remember, all we're doing is consistently making circles, all right? So I pick up 1 4 millimeter, and I'm going to come through the 2 4, or these 2 8s, the bottom 8, and these 2 8s. So I'm going through 2, 3, 4, 5 beads. So I go through these and up through these 2. And now you can see what this looks like. All right, so this is kind of cool because if you wanted to do something like this, you could do the same thing with 11s and 3 millimeters here, and it would give you a little bit of a elongation here that then you could come back and you could do the same thing again. So that would kind of be cool. I like that as well. I'm going to do this one more time. I'm going to change up my size 8 seed bead. Christy says, no matter what variation, we start with a base or, wait a minute, go back, or floor of 4 beads. In normal crawl, yes. But I'm going to show you here in just a minute another variation where not necessarily, okay? The thing is, master this first. Master this. Then go to this or this, all right? Don't get yourself confused with more floor beads or top beads or bottom beads, whatever you want to call them. Don't get yourself confused. Learn first in basic crawl. And like it's been said many, many, many times, it's helpful to use multicolors. Lily says, the random pattern of different beads would make it a cool bracelet or necklace. Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I don't see why not. Okay, so I'm going to do this same pattern here. So if I lay the pattern out on my mat, 2 8s, 2/8 of 4mm, 2/8. The next little side is 2/8 and a 4. The third side is 2/8 and a 4. And so that tells me the fourth side is just going to be a 4. All right. Laura said, what always stumped me was I was expecting CRAW to change direction as RAW does. As usual, you straightened me out. Thank you, Laura. I do my best. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to start out 2/8 of 4mm and 2/8. Oh, thank you, India. So this is the bead that my thread is coming out of. So I'm going to come back through the same bead to make a circle. The biggest thing, guys, always remember, you're just making circles and you just got to have 4 sides. Okay, so you can see there my 2 blues and my red that I have there. This is wall 1. So I come through the next bottom bead. I pick up 2/8 and a 4mm. And remember, this is my little side wall that I'm sharing. So I come through those 2/8 and the bottom. All right, and pull it through. So if I pull it back, you see there's the side that they share right there. Those are the 2 beads that we went through. So when I pull it tight, now I go through the next bottom bead here. Maybe. Yep, there we go. I have my beads here, so I pick up 2/8 and a 4mm. And I'm going to share this little side here. So I go through the 2/8 and the 4mm and pull this through. So if I look on the top and I see 1, 2, 3 beads here. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. Okay, somebody says, finally got the site working so I can see and use the chat. Have you added a site for people to go to learn how to crawl if they don't have your handy dandy tool? Roxanne, when this is over and you can go back and watch the upload from it, you'll see I actually showed how to start if you do not have the tool. Okay, so I've already showed that. So as soon as this gets uploaded, make sure to go back and watch it. Wendy says, seeing the repetition, even in the form of bead variations, is really enforcing the thread path in my mind. Kathy said, is there a fix if you goof and only go through one of the 2 or 3 beads? Okay. The best thing, honestly, is if you goof, and let's say I only go through this bead. I think this is what you're asking. So say if I only go through the 1 bead of the 2, I put in my crystal, I come through, and I make my circle, and I look, and you can tell there, number 1, it lays crooked. It doesn't lay straight. But number 2, when I go up through here, I should see where I've made the mistake. So I can see right here where I didn't get through that. So the best thing to do, I don't care if I'm 3 boxes up. Honestly, what's going to happen if I pull this through, this bead right here is going to get in the way when I do my next little set of 4. All right, that's going to be your issue. It's going to get in the way, and it could possibly stick out, the one that you did not go through. And see, this one's kind of sticking out right now a little further than this one. So it may change the look of it. So what I do is do not try to back out. All right, do not try to take your needle and back out. The best thing to do is to grab a hold of the last bead that you put in and pull the thread out. And so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull this out here. So I know that this section here is, you can see here, this was the last section I did. And so I can pull this out like this to pull out my mistakes that I've made, so that when you do that, you're not putting your needle back through and backing out. Let's see. Meredith Roddy, hey girl, I just got out of a meeting. Glad to be able to catch in progress. The tool is the bomb diggity. Did you get your tool yet, Meredith? Have you played with it yet? Let's see. Kathy says, I love the tool and absolutely love it. Wouldn't do CRAW without it. Awesome. Okay. So again, the little variation that we're doing, I'm going to pick up 2/8 and a 4mm, and I'm going to come back through the 2/8 and the 4mm. It's best to go ahead, fix your mistakes immediately when you see them. If not, take the needle off and start pulling beads out. Because honestly, if you don't, I'm the world's worst for saying, I don't care. I'm just going to leave that mistake. It's not going to bother me. And then that's all I ever see. So last one here, I pick up my 4mm. I'm making that circle here. So remember, side, side, bottom, and now I have the top. All right. So just come around to make that circle. So now you can see so far, for those of you who are just, okay, wait a minute. For those of you who are just joining, we have done a couple of variations so far. So we've done regular crawl. We've done a variation here of 11s and 8s. We did a variation of 3 11s and an 8. Now, the latest one we've done is 2 8s and a 4mm bicone. All right, so you can see there, and somebody mentioned it earlier, but I may have to go through and do a sampler bracelet or something to kind of play with these. And Meredith, I wish you could see my tray right now. You would be proud. It is so stressful. Okay. Let's see. Laura asked if we could do turn and go in a different direction. For the life of me, I can't get it. Okay, yes, absolutely. So I will turn direction for my left-handed friends, okay? So I am just going to back out so that now, instead of coming towards myself, my thread is coming out away from myself, all right? And I think this variation, I'm going to do some druck beads here. So again, we've been talking about an easy way, really easy way for you to know how to pick up these variations is to lay the beads out for your walls. So like right now, this will be wall 1. This is 2 4mm rounds, a 4mm bicone, and 2 4mm rounds. Wall 2 is going to be 2 4mm rounds and a 4mm bicone. Wall 3, 2 4mm rounds and a 4mm bicone. And finally, the fourth wall is just a 4mm bicone. So when you do the variations, it can be very helpful to lay your beads out wall 1, wall 2, wall 3, wall 4. Okay. Somebody said, I've never done crawl with bicone, so I'll definitely try this. Yes. It's a lot of fun to use different beads to play with what you're doing. Okay, so right now my thread is coming out here. I've changed directions. Laura had asked, could we change directions for left-handed friends or people who do it the opposite way? Absolutely. So wall 1, I've got 2 4mm rounds, a 4mm bicone, and 2 4mm rounds. So again, I'm going to make a circle. So my thread is coming out this direction. So I'm going to come around. And again, I'm always making circles. Okay, so it looks just like this. Now I'm going to come through the next bottom bead. My next wall is 2 4mm rounds and a 4mm bicone. Again, if I turn it like this, I already have a wall and I have a bottom. So I'm just going to come around to make that circle. So through the 2 4s and through the bottom. So when I pull it, now you see there, I have my shared wall with those 4mm rounds. So I come through the next bottom. Oh, I love it. I see people saying light bulbs are coming on for them and they're getting it. And I love it. I love it. I love it. That is my goal in life, to teach you guys how to do these stitches and have fun with these stitches. So my thread is coming out. I'm going to come around to make the circle. So I go through the 2 4mm rounds and then through the bottom bead, so that now I have like this. So if I flatten this out in my hand, you'll see 1, 2, 3, and you can see they share this, they share this. So when I pull it and I come through the floor, okay, and then I'm going to go. My daddy was calling me. All right, now I'm going to go up through my 2 little side beads here, and if I look on the top, I can see I've got 1, 2, 3 bicones and 1, 2, 3, 4 stacks of my silver. So that tells me I only have 1 bead left to add here. So I'm going to go pick up my 1 bead, and I'm going to make that circle. So I'm going to come back through the 2 rounds, the floor, up through these 2 rounds, and then the floor bead. So that is if we used 2 4mm rounds and a 4mm bicone. India says, I watched your Gloria's ribbon video and you explained CRAW very well with that one. And Gloria, I actually still have my little massive CRAW demo that I used for that one. I keep it over here next to me, so I have that still. Oh, Lord. Okay. Now, let me see what next. Let's see what fun. Let me see what variation we can do next, guys. Because I want to kind of stick with our four bead bottom, 4 bead floor, whatever for now. So does anybody have a suggestion of another one? Let's see. What about 6, 8, 11, 8, 6? Okay, all right, hold on. Let me find my 6s here. 6, 8, 11, 8, and a 6. Where do we go here? Do you reinforce? Somebody says, do you reinforce the top before you go to the next box? You can. All right. It's completely up to you, India. There's no right or wrong there. So I'm going to go with this one. I'm going to go with the 6. We're going to go with a 6, 8, 11, 8, and 6. So that's going to be wall 1. Wall 2 is going to be an 8, or 6, 8, and 11. And again, for those of you who are just joining in, after I finish the live today, either tomorrow or Wednesday or at some point this week, I am going to make a handout that I will put online for free for you guys, so you won't have to go back and keep trying to watch and see what we did. So I'm keeping up. So far we've done, we started out with 11 and 8s here. We did 3 11s and 8s here. We did 2 8s and a 4mm here. This last one we did 2 4mm rounds and a 4mm bicone. Okay, everybody keep those suggestions for me. I'm gonna ask again here in a minute when I finish this one. We got about 25 more minutes. Can you do it with a super duo? Oh my goodness, Jan. We'll try it, okay? I think I seen Sue said to do it with drops. Oh gosh, Sue, let me see. Sammy, are you downstairs? I think Mom. Yeah. Hang on, guys. Will you go ask Sammy to bring me like a 3.4mm drop seed bead, please? 3 4mm drop. Yeah. Okay, so here we go. This time we're doing this little section here, okay? So we've got wall 1, wall 2, wall 3, wall 4. Okay, so I start out 6, 8, 11, 8, 6. And I'm going to come back through the same bead that my thread is coming out of to make a circle. Okay, Nicole, fire polish beads, yes. Okay, we will, if we have time, we will definitely get there. So right now, this is what I've got. So I'm going to come through my next bottom bead here. So the next wall is an 8, a 6, and an 11. Remember, we're making a circle. So this one's going to be a little bit harder because we've got this little 11 here, and then we've got these big beads. So remember, we're going through the 8 and the 6 as our little side beads here. Okay. Come through the next bottom bead. Okay, so you can see what I've got here so far. Thank you. I appreciate that. Here you go. This one works. Thank you. Yep. Okay. So let's see. So far I've got 1 wall and 2 walls. So now I'm going to pick up a 6, an 8, and an 11. And again, I'm going to come back around through the 8, the 6, and the floor. Okay, so far you can see right there, it's kind of hard to tell because they're so small with our bigger beads here. You can see I've got my 3 11s, so that means I need 1 more 11 right here. Caroline asked a great question. Could you use bugles as the side bead? Yes, you could, Caroline. That would be really cool. Okay, so I went through the bottom bead and then through the 6 and the 8. And again, you can see my 11s here on top. So that means I need to pick up 1 11 and come through the 8 and the 6. Because remember, I'm making a circle. Always think about circles. Nicole says, would delicate beads work with this stitch? Nicole, they will work. The only thing with using a delicate in CRAW is... Okay, and I promise you, this is not an oxymoron, but it makes it look very boxy, okay? It just doesn't look to me as good. Now, you can definitely do it. To me, it's just not one of my faves, okay? So here we did 6, 8s, and 11s. So this is what this variation looks like. Now, I don't know if I would suggest doing the exact same thing again, just because of the fact that your 11s are going to get lost. What I might suggest is to flip it and do it backwards this time. So pick up the 8s first. So we'll basically flip it is what we're doing. So we can do it this way, where we have wall 1, wall 2, wall 3, and wall 4. Okay, so let me write this variation down real quick so I don't forget it. So we started out with 6, 8, 0, 11, 0, and then we flipped it, and we're going to do an 8, 0, 6, 0, 11, 0. All right, I have no clue what this is going to look like, but we are going to roll with it. So I've got my 8, my 6, my 11, my 6, and my 8. So I come back around to make that circle. And I come through the next bead on the base. Then it's an 8, a 6, and an 11. And we come back through the 6, the 8, and our bead we're coming out of here. Go through the next 11, 8, 6, 11, and come back through the 8, the 6, and the base. Okay, and you can see here I have 3 beads here on the top. So I'm going to go through the last bottom bead, which is going to be the 11, and then through the 8 and the 6. Looks like a little kid with floaters. Yes, it does. Donna, honey, don't worry, because I'm honestly getting myself lost on this variation. It looks like an X, y'all. Like, I don't really know. So now I'm doing my 11 and going through so that now I don't know if I would do crawl like this. I don't know if this variation would get me confused on this variation. So I don't know if I would do this specific one as a variation. So I doubt that's going to make the sheet, because that gets hard to me to even explain. All right, Sue wanted to see with drops. So that's what we're going to do now. I'm going to use a 3.4 millimeter drop bead. So it's a seed bead, but it's a little tiny teardrop shape. Okay, so we're going to do this. So I'm going to do, it's pretty wobbly. Not super bad, Audrey, but it's definitely something. So, okay, so for this variation, I'm going to do a drop bead. A drop bead, a crystal. Let me find another crystal color here. And then we're going to try the Super Duo thing, guys. I'm kind of digging the Super Duo thought process. Oh, y'all, this stresses me out so much having all this on my tray. Okay, so wall 1, we are going to do drop, 4 millimeter bicone, drop. Wall 2 is drop and bicone. Wall 3, drop and bicone. And wall 4 is going to be a drop. All right. So I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to do really quickly. And if you're just now joining us, I've been showing variations of CRAW. So what I'm going to do really quickly is I'm just going to make a normal CRAW box using 11s just to kind of get it away from the wonky the wonkiness that we had going on down here. So if you missed the basic crawl part, as soon as the live is over, this will go be uploaded into YouTube, so you can go rewatch it and see how to do the basic crawl. Okay, so done a little basic box here. Jan, we are going to test that out. That's going to be the last thing that we test out, and then our time will be up for today. So I have my 4-bead bottom here. So I am going to pick up a drop, a 4mm, and a drop. If I can get it. Oh, good grief. There we go. So drop, 4mm, and drop. My thread is coming out of this bead right here, so I'm going to make a circle. So I'm going to come back through the same bead again. Now, what you'll want to do when you do the stitch like this, you will want to make sure that the drop beads stick out, okay? So you don't want them to go to the inside. You want them to stick to the outside, okay? So I'm going to come through the next bottom bead here, and I pick up a drop and a 4mm. And now this time, remember, we're going to be using the drop as our wall. So I go through the drop and the bottom bead and pull this through. And again, we want the drops to be to the outside like this. So they're actually going to stick out. Come through the next bottom bead. Pick up a drop and a 4mm. We're going to come around and go through the drop and the bottom bead again. And this one could get a little tricky because, again, you want to make sure that that drop sticks out and doesn't go to the inside. So this is one that you really have to kind of make sure that you get it right. Okay, I'm going to go through the floor or the bottom bead and my little side wall bead here. Pick up a 4mm bicone, and remember, we're making those circles. So I'm going to go through the drop, the bottom or the floor, and then up through the drop again. And so when you do that, that gives it a really cool look. Sue, check that out. I like it. I'm going to grab some 3mm bicones and let's do it with the 3s, the drops with 3mm. This would be really cool to do, like, say, maybe this right here, and then switch and do this for a box or two, and then come back to this. So that would be a lot of fun. But let me grab a little 3mm bicone. Let me see if I've got any right here somewhere. Lord, you guys. Oh. It'll take me 2 hours to clean up my mess. Yes, you will probably, that's a good question, Laura. I wonder if the drops will catch the thread. You will have to be careful with the drops, I think, as you work, to make sure that they don't get caught on the thread. Okay. Yes, and this would work for daggers, those magnetamas, all of those. So I'm going to try this one more time using some 3mm bicones. So let me write down our little variation here. So our 6th variation that we did, and I'm going to put a little sad face on this variation because that one wasn't so wonderful. So number 6 is we did a 3.4 drop and a 4mm bicone. And then now we're going to do a 3.4 drop with a 3mm bicone. So look at that. We've done 7 variations so far. So I pick up a drop. Let me lay some more drops out here. So it's going to be a drop, a 3mm bicone, and a drop. And my thread is coming out of the 4mm, so I'm going to come back through that same bead to make a circle. can you do a box with a round bead captured in the center? I believe you could. We might have to do a part 2 to this. So I came through the bottom bead. I'm picking up a drop and a 3mm bicone. And remember, we're making circles. We're using our drop as our side bead. So I go through the drop and the bottom bead, making sure the drop is sticking out. Oh, yes, we definitely got our lines crossed. She said, you misunderstood my idea. I meant solid boxes of 8s, 6s, and 11. So it decreases and then increases. Yes, that would probably work much better. Oh, because we got a little X going on in there. And you guys, this is so cute right here. Oh my goodness, so cute. So drop 3mm, and I come back and I go through the drop and the bottom bead, pull it through. Oh my goodness, y'all, I'm loving this little variation. Sue, good call on this. Okay, and so I go up through the little drop bead for my side bead here, and I'm going to pick up a 3mm, and I'm going to come around and go through the drop and my bottom bead, and oh my goodness. Oh, I love it. You guys, how stinking cute is that? Oh man, I really, really like that. Very good call, Sue. I love it. So this is 4s here, and this is a 3mm bicone here. You can also use the fire polish beads. This would be really great for that. I'm going to do one more row of this 3mm with the drop, if I can find it on my desk here, because I want to see. I bet these little drops are going to be much closer together, and it's going to look really good. So again, if you're laying out a pattern, oh Lord, I'm trying to like double up here. Drop, 3mm drop. Wall 2 is drop 3mm. Wall 3 is drop 3mm. And wall 4 is just going to be a 3mm. Okay, Shelly says, I wonder how it would look with drops on opposite sides on either of them. I bet it would be really cool. Carol says, how do you take it off? Oh, I'll show you that too, Carol. Just give me a minute. Okay, so we're going to pick up wall 1, drop, crystal, drop. So we come back through the bead we're coming out of to make our circle. Okay, and again, remember, you want those drops to stick out. Okay. Come through the next bottom bead, pick up drop and 3mm, come back around and go through the drop and the bottom bead. Okay, and this is where, again, you want to make sure that those drops stick out like this. So then come through the next bottom bead, drop 3mm, and I'm going to come back around and go through the drop and the 3mm. And now I'm going to go through the last bottom bead, up through the drop, and then I'm going to pick up my last crystal. I'm going to come around to make that circle. So I'm going through the drop and the 3mm or bottom bead there, and come up and through. And honestly, you guys, that is exactly what I was thinking, Gail. That right there would make such a cute beaded bead. Start out with, so if we did it like this and we had those 4 3mm where those greens are, that would be a really, really cool beaded bead. Oh my goodness, I see such great things coming out of this little video. I love it. Okay, really quickly, because we are running out of time. Really quickly, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to take this off of the tool, because I did get that question. So if I had a stop bead on here, I would just pull the stop bead off. What I'm going to do is just cut that off right there. There we go. So you would still have your long thread left. I had started out with this to show you how to start your crawl with 4 beads instead of the tool. So that is why I had that there. So here's the great thing about it. Once I pull the stop bead off and I pull this little thread out, what I do is I take and I rock it back and forth like this, and you see how much it loosened that up. So what I do at this point is I just kind of grab a bead and I just start pulling like this. And you can see it come right off the tool, and I have my sampler here that we played with. So these are all the variations that we played with today. Now, when I do the handout, we will do this as we will do boxes of 6s, we will do boxes of 8s, and then we will do boxes of 11s, so that you have like a decrease and then like an increase. Yes, Shelly, you lose your first 4 beads here when you take it off the tool. So that is what you lose 1 box when you take it off the tool. So you guys, this is what we played with today. I love it. Absolutely love it. So I'm going to turn the camera around really quickly, and I'll chat with you for just a minute. So if you get motion sickness, look away for 1 minute. Okay, so we did so many variations today. I feel like we have to revisit this, okay? So what I'm gonna do, because now you have me completely intrigued about how to do this with 2-hole beads. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to experiment over the next couple of days to see what I can come up with some of these 2-hole bead ideas. And what I would love for you to do for me is I would love you to be thinking of some variations that you would like to see, so that we can do another live and we can do some more of these fun variations together. So if you have a variation that you would like me to try on our next live, wait a minute, can you see the ends together for a necklace? Yes, 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 yes. Man, you guys, we might have to do like the off the beaded path CRAW collaboration. That might be what we have to do. CRAW collaboration necklace. Because you guys, look at that. I love it. I love it. So we will definitely revisit this. So what I would love for you to do, email me. My email address is, hold on, let me get my email address. Let me get the one I want you to email me at. So that way I can keep all of them together. Let's do off the beaded path at me.com. So off the beaded path at me.com. Okay, email me variations of CRAW that you would like to see, and I promise you, definitely in the next couple of weeks that we will get together. We will do CRAW College or Crawlology, and we will go through and do some more of these variations, and I will play with the 2-hole bead concept, because now you got my brain to going on here, and we will just do a off the beaded path collaboration. So guys, thank you so much for watching. It was so great hanging out with you again today. Like I said, it's been forever. So I just had so much fun. So make sure, a couple of things really quickly before we leave. Number 1 is this Friday, which is, oh gosh, what is Friday? Hang on. Friday, whatever Friday's date is, this coming Friday. You want to That is the 18th, okay? On Friday the 18th, 2022, I have a promo going on the website. If you spend $20 or more, like a physical order, meaning we're gonna ship it out to you, you get an 8-gram mix of a brand new Delica mix that we have. It's a winter mix. You guys, it is gorgeous. It screams wintertime. So that is coming up this Friday, the 18th. Monday, the 21st, I have a new 3D shape that I cannot wait to show you. It's for a 3-dimensional rectangle. And for those of you who got the Christmas mix, you guys, I love it. I'm so ready for Christmas with these. So it's a new 3-dimensional shape, peyote shape there with the rectangles. All right, so that is coming up on the 21st, and the 28th, I'm gonna be showing you how to make a square stitch bail that I'm using for these earrings, but that you can do with any sort of thing that you're wanting to hang like this. So that's coming on the 28th. Somebody said they loved my earrings. If you love my earrings, make sure to go back to the Beadalon Facebook page. They did a live on this on Thursday with Meredith Roddy and Andrea Bieber. Andrea showed how to make these earrings, and y'all, I whipped these up in no time, and I loved them. Love them. So make sure to go to the Beadalon Facebook page and watch the video with Andrea Bieber and Meredith Roddy. You will not be disappointed. And like I said, we will do these coming up, and make sure to send me CRAW variations so we can do this again. I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful week. If you bought a CRAW tool today, please be patient because I make them as they get ordered. So I will work on those this week, and I promise we'll get them mailed out to you as soon as possible. So you guys have a wonderful, wonderful week, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.